What's going on, everyone? It's Mike back again, and yeah, just a bit of a recap video. Before we start this video, I obviously, I mean, you don't know how to put this into words, so I'm not going to overcook this, but thoughts and prayers go to everyone related to Michael, who unfortunately lost his life in the construction of Bramley Moor. Everton fan, home and away, big supporter. A little shout out to Villa as well, who have shared. Villa supporters have shared the GoFundMe page as well for him and his family, which is a really nice touch. And so have Liverpool, to be fair. So you know, big shout out to those guys. But you know, I can't imagine what his family is going through. You know, no one should go to work and not come home. You know. So yeah, just sending everyone from the channel here, Blue Boys Network, you know, John Millsy, who comes on, you know, any of the guests that have been on, we all send condolences to the family, and you are in our thoughts and prayers. Yeah, let's talk about Jack Harrison first. So Jack Harrison is confirmed to be an Everton player. There was some late rumours that Aston Villa would try and hijack the deal. That didn't happen. It didn't materialise. He is injured for, some people have said 3 weeks, some people have said 6 weeks. I don't know. The problem is when you have these injuries, it's the way that the manager deals with it. And I would argue that Sean Dyche is very cautious when it comes to injuries. So my concern is with things like this is it might be 4 weeks, but his rehab programme will take another 3 weeks. So, you know, in that time, you've played 6 or 7 Premier League games and we're well in the season. So that's my only concern. He's a player that can play on the left and the right. He's got goals in him. He can create things. He can score. He can pass. He can, you know, do all the general things that you want an attacking winger to do. He can be creative, and he will put a shift in. So he ticks all the Dyche boxes. He's dynamic enough. He absorbs defenders. He brings them into him, and then he'll run past them. He can work with a double pivot, so he can come short. When you've got 2 central midfielders, he can come short, which allows the left-hand side to rotate, and he can do vice versa on the right-hand side. So he's a comfortable player. My only, and I did make this point on Twitter, and I don't think it was understood. Well, that's probably my fault. We've got so many left-sided players, and although he may play on the right-hand side, he's predominantly a left-sided player. I probably would have preferred signing a right-sided player, but you know, it is what it is. Beggars can't be choosers at this point. We brought in Danjuma on loan as well. We've got some loan signings who, you know, hopefully come good for us. We need them to, because you saw against Fulham we were blunt at times. Creativity was poor. Footballing IQ was just generally low. The turnover wasn't great. Retention of the ball wasn't good. And at times when we were attacking and we were having opportunities, we didn't have anyone to put the ball in the net. So hopefully these players can chip in and score some goals and get in and amongst it, be aggressive when needed, because that is exactly the Sean Dyche model, and that is exactly the model that's probably going to keep us in the Premier League. You know, we've all earmarked these games that we would hope to win, and Fulham was one of them, and we've lost that, so we've now got to pick up 12 wins. You know, and I know it sounds a bit negative and a bit downbeat, but we have not been safe in the Premier League for 2 years now. So I'm not going to start sitting here going, yeah, we're guaranteed 40 points and we're going to stay up, because that isn't the case, and we need to be realistic to that. You know, we were saying that Wolves were going to get relegated. They were fantastic against Manchester United, and albeit they blow hot and cold, and we've known that, they were fantastic against Man United and were robbed of a penalty, in my opinion. Again, a VAR decision that's an absolute joke, but nevertheless, you don't even need to comment on it. We all know it's a shambles. So, yeah, I hope that it works towards being more cohesive and having a little bit more of a thought process. Some of the words that I've had from friends who obviously are Leeds fans, as you know, Connor from One Leeds and Joe from It's Just Joe, both say that he is a capable player. He just isn't necessarily the most consistent player, and that's something that needs to be addressed, because the one thing you can argue with Sean Dyche's side is they are consistent, whether it be consistently shite or consistently okay. They're consistent, and I think something like that. I think it's an area that needs addressing personally. We need more. We need more. We need a striker. I mean, we've been linked with Beto. We've been linked with various strikers from different clubs. But the simple fact of the matter is, we clearly need goals. You know, whether it be an Iheanacho from Leicester, who's probably going to get you 8 or 9 goals, whether it's going to be a, you know, even a Danny Ings from West Ham who may not play, he'll get you 8 or 9 goals. Maybe it's I don't know, but we need goals. We seriously need goals, because that's clearly what we lacked the weekend. We just needed someone to put the ball in the net, which Neil Maupay cannot do. For all the love and effort in the world, he just can't put the ball in the net. You know, I think he got 1 goal last season against Southampton. It's not enough. You know, it's not enough for a player that cost us £15 million, so, which is scandalous to say, but there you go. Want to move on to Amadou Onana. Amadou Onana has been asked by Belgium newspapers about basically his ambition and where he sees his future, and he's come out and said, look, he wants to play Champions League football, but he's got a 4-year contract with Everton, and he hopes it's with Everton, and if it's not, you know, it will be with somebody else. You know, this is a kid that's ambitious, but actually the way that he's answered this question is so much better than we've had from previous players who have played from Everton. You know, they've used us as a stepping stone, and to a degree, you understand that. We understand we're not a Champions League team. You know, we've all, unfortunately, since I've been growing up, we've had this thing where, you know, we were for about 10 years we were the almost club in the Champions League. You know, we'd finished 5th, we'd finished 6th. We had a few good years under Moyes, but our better players were always linked with moves away. You know, I can think of various. You know, you start with Wayne Rooney, Jack Rodwell. You can throw in Ross Barkley. You could talk about Thomas Gravesen, ends up at Real Madrid. You know, there's various players that over the years have used Everton as a stepping stone. Rightly so. Every player has to have ambition. But the way that he's answered that question is it shows he's committed to Everton, but it's sort of saying to Everton, look, at some point I'm going to want to play European football. Some point I want to play at the highest level. I don't blame the kid for that. I would never blame anyone for showing ambition. I never will. So fair play to him. I think the big thing for Everton is we need players, and we need them now. I mean, there is literally no sugarcoating it. We are in such a poor position in terms of going forward and scoring goals that we haven't got a choice but to go and sign players now. Like, it has to be now. This isn't something that can wait until the end of deadline day. It needs to happen now. And, you know, we've been linked with Wilfred Nonto, again, young forward, big price tag, £25-30 million. A player that I would love to see in an Everton shirt. I really rate the kid. I think he's got a lot of footballing attributes I like. He's aggressive, he's pacey, he knows where the goal is. He'll link up play, he's aggressive, he's got skill, he's got quick feet. He literally is exactly what we need as a ball carrier in the transition. You know, Iwobi carries the ball quite well, but he's not particularly quick. And we lack that. We lack that pace, and we've lacked it for a while. You know, we all know the years when we had a Kevin Morales, a Gerard Deulofeu, a Ross Barkley, who could all carry the ball from midfield, and you had a Lukaku up front who would slot it away. But Everton don't have any of that. Everton literally don't have a ball carrying midfielder, really. They don't have pace on either wing, and they don't have a goal scorer. So a lot needs to be addressed ASAP. By the way, this is a team that's cost 800 million or 700 million or whatever it works out to. So, yeah. And equally, we need a striker. You know, I keep saying we've been linked with Beto, we've been linked with other players. Even Onana was linked with a move to Manchester United with the potential of a cash plus player deal. You know, I don't know what that would look like. Would it look like a Scott McTominay, for example? A player that I actually rate, and I don't think gets the credit he deserves, if I'm being honest. But, you know, he'll chip in with a goal for you. He'll chip in with some tackles. He's aggressive. He plays for every shirt that he plays for. You know, he literally is committed to the cause. So I have no issue with Tom McTominay came into Everton, but I don't know if I want it for the detriment of Onana. Some people were saying about James Garner playing on the right hand side that actually he was good. I'm not saying James Garner's a bad player as well, by the way, but he's not suited to playing on the right midfield. He isn't suited to that position. He's a very good central midfielder. He will pick up the ball. He will make that pass. He's an intelligent footballer. And when you take him out wide, you're taking that intelligence out of the middle of the park. And, you know, that cleverness and that ability to pick that lock is sort of taken away because he's having to do things that he's not used to. He's having to overthink what he's doing to do the right thing. I don't like it. I don't like him playing on the right hand side of midfield. I really don't. And that's something that I'd like to change as well. So yeah, all in all, that is pretty much it. There isn't really loads going on at the minute. It's very quiet. I wish this Wilfred Nonto stuff would hurry up. And I think Leeds fans at this point do. He's currently training on his own. From the comments that I've had from other Leeds fans, they're essentially saying, look, they're not in the... He's one of those players that does not have a relegation clause in his contract. It's one of the... There's a guy at Leeds that was... I think he was their technical director up until very recently. His name was Rad Razani. And he essentially ballsed up everyone's contract, which basically meant if they got relegated, they could leave. You know, and he signed some massive players like Weston McKennie for 33 million and big names. He put Leeds in a bit of a predicament. But the one player he seemed to get it right with is Nonto, because he doesn't have a relegation clause in his contract. And he can stay and he can rot in the reserves. Now, Everton have got to somehow get him out of there and bring him into Everton. And that's a difficult thing to do because Leeds hold all of the cards in that transfer. You know, Nonto can refuse to train, he can refuse to play football, but eventually, if he wants those opportunities, he's going to have to. He's going to have to. He's going to have to play football. He's going to have to play football. You know, he's spoke about getting back into the Italy side, and you know he has made a few appearances for Italy already. Well, you know, his concerns will be: is he going to be picked in an Italy side if he's playing championship football? I don't know, but the sooner this deal gets done, if it gets done, will be great. I think it'll be a loan with an obligation to buy. I think Leeds will have to crumble at some point if the fee is high enough for the loan. I think Everton are cash strapped, and I suspect that every bit of money will have to go towards a striker that is capable of coming into this side now. Chimiti, he's obviously joined £12.5 to £15 million. I get the signing, but I think it's a gamble going and spending £15 million on a young player. You know, when you have got a Dobbin, you've just sold Sims. How much Premier League game time is he going to get? You know, are you going to be starting him in games over Neil Maupay if Calvert-Lewin's injured? My point is, I think we needed to go and invest that £15 million in other players. And the caveat to that, though, I suspect it's not a lot up front. I suspect a lot of it is performance-based. I suspect there's a large sell-on clause. Well, there is a large sell-on clause. So, I get why it's happened. The Sporting Lisbon, you know, the podcast and the fans, they're not overly bothered that he's gone. So, you know, you're saying that you signed a talented player. The team that's nurtured him from young don't necessarily agree with that. So, we will see. But all I know is Everton need a striker now. Calvert-Lewin, he's played 90 minutes today. We've played a closed game, behind closed doors game against Manchester United. A game where various players got lots of minutes, which is positive. But we're going to need more because we're going into a game against Villa that will want to start their season on Saturday. You know, we saw how bad Villa were. And I mean, you could argue that, You know, they had as many chances as Newcastle at times in the first half, and they didn't put theirs away. Newcastle did. Newcastle stepped out in the second half and blew them away. Newcastle are capable of that, especially under Eddie Howe. He's done a phenomenal job there. And this Villa side is a very, very capable team, and they got made to look average. To be honest, they got made to look worse than average. Henry is not going to want that against an Everton team that will be fairly low on confidence following a home defeat, a disappointing home defeat. So I'm sure he's going to be really, really confident of getting 3 points, and Everton have just got to find a way of getting something. Go to Villa Park, find a way of getting a draw, go into that Wolves game at home and win the game. And I know that sounds difficult, but if you'd offered me 4 points from 3 games at the start of the season, I would reluctantly take it, but I would have wanted 6. And that's me being honest. So, guys, look, I'm leaving it there. Keep smiling. Yeah.